Welcome back to the Brahmin Word, and first off, just wanted to kind of explain what happened to me this past Sunday. I wasn't at church because, well, there was a pipe issue at my new house here in Cuyahoga Falls, and it caused some water damage and I guess a little bit of what you could call flooding, and so therefore that actually happened as church was going on Sunday morning, so that's why I wasn't there. But anyways, not the greatest time. However, we could still try to find joy in the Christian life, even in the midst of that. See what I did there? But let's return to the book of Ruth. So Ruth chapter 3, and we're going to see more of the love story between Ruth and Boaz, and yet inside of that love story, we're still going to see a lot of joy and what it means to live the joyful Christian life. And so turn with me to Ruth chapter 3, verse 1. Then Naomi, Ruth's mother in law, said to her, "My daughter, should I not seek rest for you, that it may be well with you? Is not Boaz our relative, with whose young women you were? See, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Wash therefore and announce yourself, and put on your cloak and go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. But when he lies down, observe the place where he lies. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down, and he will tell you what to do." And she replied, "All that you say, I will do." So, Naomi, who is, again, named Naomi, not Mara, and so we're seeing Naomi turn back to her state of pleasantness because of because of the friend slash companion that she has in life right now, which is Ruth, and that's what the name Ruth means, which is why I named my dog Ruth. But she has, again, she wants to provide a hope and a future for Ruth, knowing that she is not just a widow, but a foreign widow in a place that's not her native home. And so, therefore, it could again become very dangerous for her. But obviously, in chapter 2, we see that that Boaz is being very protective of Ruth. And so now Naomi wants to take that step further and wants to start getting um, Ruth into a relationship with Boaz, leading to marriage. So the idea is that Ruth would go to Boaz to this. Most likely, it's probably like a harvest party, something like that. And after all the festivities, and when Boaz is asleep, she is to uncover his feet. Now we'll talk about that in a second because that seems very weird, obviously. But we'll get to that in just a second when it happens here in this passage. So, verse 6. So Ruth went down to the threshing floor and did just as her mother in law had commanded her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. Then she came softly and uncovered his feet and lay down. And now, before we get to the response of Boaz to what Ruth has done, so what is she doing? What does it mean to uncover the feet? It's, some would say, is this a marriage proposal? Not not exact, kind of, kind of, but it's more a response of honor and respect the to the kinsman redeemer, which is what Boaz is going to be really called here in a second. But then also throughout chapter 4, he is going to be known as the kinsman redeemer, and basically taking the place of Ruth's husband as Ruth's husband. And so that's kind of what that's getting at. And so this taking off the shoes, or uncovering his feet and laying down by his feet is a sense of respect or honor, not necessarily a seductive act, but it's also not really a how should I say this, like a submissive to like a dictator kind of deal. It's not like that either. It's the sense of I am grateful for the way that you have protected me so far, and I long to respect and honor that, and I want to do that even more, than just because I work for you. I want to make that lifelong, basically. So in a way, it is kind of a marriage proposal. It's a weird one, but it is kind of like that. So let's see Boaz's reaction, though. Verse 8. At midnight, the man, Boaz, was startled and turned over, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. He said, "Who are you?" And again, even though this is a manner of honor and respect, it's still somebody laying at your feet in the middle of the night. So this reaction by Boaz is still very much understood. So Ruth answered, "I am Ruth, your servant." And see how she responds there, just the humility, and I think the joy that she has as well is in the statement of being Boaz's servant. Not necessarily in the way that we think of servants. It's this idea of I'm humbling myself to you. That's kind of the idea that we're thinking of here. And I love this picture that she paints here. Look at the end of verse 9. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. Um, there are also there's also translations that instead of wings, it would be corners of a garment. But I love the illustration of wings, specifically, and so this kind of goes back to why she uncovered his feet, to basically show that, look, I am I am willing and wanting to be under your care, to be out, to be looked over, by to be looked after. Sorry, to be looked after by Boaz. This is kind of what she's saying, and what a beautiful picture that is. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. You bring something back when it should have no chance at existing or continuing to exist, and you have given it that chance. And that's a beautiful picture to see in verse 9. And so we'll see Boaz's response here in verse 10. And Boaz said, "May you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, in that you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask, for all my fellow townsmen know that you are a worthy woman. And now it's true that I am a redeemer, yet there is a redeemer nearer than I. Stay tonight, and in the morning, if he will redeem you, good, let him do it. But if he isn't willing to redeem you, then, as the Lord lives, I will redeem you. Lie down until the morning." So you see the joy in Boaz's life here, not only with a statement of "May you be blessed by the Lord," but also just the way he responds to. You have made this last kindness greater than the first. And what was the first kindness? I think it was just choosing to work at his field. And something as small as that brings joy to Boaz's life. And that's a really, really cool thing to see. So when you and I get into tough spots, yes, they're tough spots, don't get me wrong. But even the smallest things that happen while we are having trials and tribulations, um, that are joyful should cause us joy, even in the midst of what we are going through, uh, whether we're being blessed or whether we're going through something difficult. So I think that's something that Boaz brings to the table that is really important to remember. And I'm trying to remember that right now as I'm trying to figure out what's going on with water damage and all that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, I think that's really, really cool to see. So he does mention, though, that there is another kinsman redeemer who has more of a direct link Most likely because he's closer in relationship, not necessarily age, but closer in relationship to Naomi than Boaz is. Um, so, because of that, this unknown guy is the kinsman redeemer first, but then Boaz would be the follow up. And so they have to see what the kinsman redeemer um, says first, and then Boaz could then take that title of kinsman redeemer from this unknown gentleman and become that instead. And so they'll figure that out the next day. Um, However, uh, we do see a little bit of interaction still to come at the end of this chapter. Verse 14. So Ruth lay at his feet until the morning, but arose before one could recognize another. And Boaz said, "Let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor." And most likely he's talking to employees, to servants, that kind of thing. And he said, "Bring the garment you are wearing and hold it out." So she held it, and he measured out 6 measures of barley and put it on her. So he's blessing her even more, basically. Then she went to the city. And when she came to her mother-in-law, Naomi said, "How did you fare, my daughter?" Then she told her all that the man had done for her, saying, "These 6 measures of barley he gave for me, for he said to me, 'You must not go back empty-handed to your mother-in-law.'" And I think what this gesture is here with the 6 measures of barley, what I think that is obviously the kindness of Boaz, but I think it's also a note um, or a reassurance to not just to Ruth but to Naomi that Boaz is doing what he believes is correct and what he believes that the Lord is calling him to do when it comes to Ruth and Naomi. And so I love that that he does that with the 6 measures of barley um, as well. Verse 18. Naomi replied, "Wait, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out, for the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today," which Boaz does, but he does that in chapter 4. So we'll get to that on Thursday later this week. We will get to the end of the book of Ruth, and especially talking about redeeming and redemption, and how redemption brings joy, a lot of joy to the Christian life. So we'll get to that on Thursday. However, I will see you tomorrow with the Broadman Word as well. Thanks.